So now the elite skate kids, like I was saying before, were now part of the Zephyr Surf and now Skate Shop, and they were called the Z Boys. And the Z Boys were just again the best skaters in town, and they would specifically go and seek out empty pools all around the neighborhood, and they would drive around also with pumps. So if they found a great pool, but it still might have water in it, they would literally put the pump in the water, drain out all the water, have people kind of watch as lookouts, drain all the water out of the pool, and then go skate in the now drained out empty pool. Um, I mean, it's the most badass version of a sport ever. Like you're actually having to trespass, um, commit a crime basically to do your sport. Remember those Nike spots in the beginning? Yeah, I think that's definitely true to the culture of where skateboarding came from. Um, and if the cops came, they ran. They had boards. They could probably outrun the cops. They could probably ditch down alleys and whatever and get away. And then they go to another pool and do the same thing. And they'd skate. And if their board broke, so what? They went home. They hurt themselves. They went home. It didn't matter. You were a skater, and that was just the lifestyle. And three people I think really stood out in this time: Stacy Peralta, Tony Alva, and Jay Adams. These three at that time were rock stars. They were rock star skaters. Um, they were the beginning of what I think we would call a rock star in the traditional sense of I think now how we define rock stars, which is part rebellious, part just attitude, just pure, just talent. You had to be obviously very good and skilled, and everybody they could do things that no one else could do. So when these people stepped up to the pool, when they when they were about to begin skateboarding, crowds they stopped. People watched. This was like a moment of watching amazing watching Hendrix walk onto a stage. People would just sit in silence, waiting to see what he would do. These people were inventing a sport. I mean, let's just talk about this too. This wasn't a thing yet. Skateboarding wasn't a thing. This was brand new. They were literally the pioneers of this thing. There were no rules. No one had done this before. And all they were trying to do was outmaneuver each other. Tony Alva was trying to just do one more trick that Stacy couldn't do, and onwards. Everybody was just trying to one up everyone else. There were no standards. There was no level of what was considered the best yet. No one had done it. And like the surfers, they also were very territorial about their pools. If you had a pool that you knew about, and you told your handful of skater friends, "Hey, there's a pool down on Sycamore. Let's go down there." And if your friends may have brought one too many people that were outside of your circle, they were kicked out and maybe even beat up for even being there because they didn't want to overpopulate this because A, there's not enough room for everyone to skate. B, too many people are going to attract attention. The cops are going to come and you're going to shut it down. So you had to fight for, territory and remain fighting to keep it. Basically, these three people are I think responsible in a lot of ways for the current kind of just switch into what I think is modern skateboarding. Okay, in 1975, Bain Skateboards created the first skateboarding competition in Del Mar called the National Skateboarding Competition, and it had two categories. Classic, which was kind of like, I think it was just like they had like orange cones, and you had to like kind of like an obstacle course. You had to like move through it and see how good you could kind of surf your way through this kind of classic course. Then there was freestyle, and freestyle was tricks: stand on your head, spin around, whatever. So there's two categories in this competition, and the freestyle happened to be in a 12 by 12 foot plywood flat surface, right? Nothing. Again, these guys are like jumping around in pools and skating around hills, and here's this 12 by 12 foot plywood flat surface, and now they're like, okay, here's where you got to do your tricks. So a lot of the skaters who came in to compete did what you're supposed to do. They were classically, classic skateboarders, and they did what you're supposed to. They kind of maneuvered their way around through like the course and did handstands or whatever. Then the Z Boys show up. And the Z Boys are like, what do we do with this 12 by 12 foot flat surface? And it was, again, like a rock star moment where they showed up and, people were like, oh, something's happening. And it was like a hockey team showing up for a skating competition. They were like no other skateboarders around. Watch this.